What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? And we are your two favorite Stunods, and welcome back to the Stunods podcast. We're here gearing up for episode 10, and I gotta say, I can't be more excited. We're in double digits, Dom.
We actually did it, huh?
We did it.
Episodes.
We made it. We
didn't think this was gonna happen.
10 episodes, and 10 lifetime viewers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
We have like two consistent fan base.
My mom and your dad.
My dad. That's about it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Don't they say if you got past like 7 episodes or something like that, then you're like in the clear?
It's like the start of a successful podcast.
Yeah. Actually sticking with it.
Yeah, exactly. We're committed. It's all right. But we got a special episode for you today. Our first topic we're going to talk about is the Zack Synder cut for Justice League.
Yes.
Dom, we have a lot to talk about here.
A lot to talk
about. So let's first start with how the Synder cut even just came to be, right?
Power of the fans, man.
Power of the fans. So there was rumor when Justice League came out, and we both know that movie was not what it should have been.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
Everybody knows that.
It was a mess. If you're a real fan, and you couldn't help but compare that movie to Marvel films.
Right.
So automatically it's like, oh, Justice League's a ShopRite version of fucking Avengers.
Yeah, literally.
So automatically you knew that something definitely went wrong in the production part of that movie. And then word came about that there was a Zack Synder cut of Justice League with a lot more footage and a lot more.
It was his actual vision.
Yeah.
That's the thing I kind of respect it, where it's, going into it and just the final product, there was a lot of politics going on, just us as fan base following it.
Right. And
following everything since Man of Steel and trying to see what DC has developed through 5 years or whatever it was,
right?
And there was just a lot of things going on. I think Zack Synder had family issues, with his daughter.
Yeah,
she committed suicide.
Yep.
So there was definitely a lot of things going on with his head, and I'm sure he was willing to back down and be like, yeah, I'm going to take care of myself and my family before.
Right, and you got to respect that.
Definitely have to respect that. But then they brought on Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Which I don't really know the backstory as to why he was disintegrated from Marvel. I really don't know. There might be like a story that went
maybe.
Out. But yeah, I mean, he did first Avengers, and then he did Age of Ultron.
He did Age of Ultron,
which
too. Yep.
I loved. Loved both those movies.
People say Age of Ultron's not. It's like bottom tier for Marvel movies.
I completely disagree.
I disagree. I liked Age of Ultron a lot. But yeah, man. Joss Whedon comes in, and you could just tell that there is conflicting visions in that film. There's just a lot of different tones with the acting, the directing, the visual effects in different scenes. And I'm talking specifically about that opening scene with Batman and the Parademon. Just the vision with that, it didn't match up with the rest of the film. It looked a lot different. And it was short. Like the film for a superhero team up film was relatively short, right? I think it was 2 hours of runtime.
Under 2 hours, I'm pretty sure.
Or it was like an hour 54 minutes or something like that.
I just think that the studio was, I think, a big reason why the final product turned out to be that way.
Let's be honest.
They had a lot of pull.
It turned out to be garbage.
Yeah, it was garbage.
It was garbage.
And it sucks, but yet again, we've talked about this, but
right.
They saw what Batman vs Superman did with mainly with the critics, because we have numbers, and Batman vs Superman made total gross was $873 million, and the budget was like maybe like 250 or 300 million.
Right.
So those are pretty good numbers.
That's a good return on the investment. Yeah, for sure.
But then Rotten Tomatoes score was 28%, meaning mainly the critics, like just bashed it. And I'm on the good side of it. I enjoyed Batman vs Superman. It has its flaws.
I like the extended cut.
Movie. Extended cut's good. Yeah,
I'm talking like when we talk about Batman v Superman, we're talking specifically the extended cut, because the extended cut has a lot more character development, a lot more. The storytelling is a lot smoother than it was in the theatrical cut.
But it's also an expansion from what they were doing with Man of Steel.
Right.
Zack Synder was doing with Man of Steel, and personally love Man of Steel.
Yeah.
That also Rotten Tomatoes scores 56%.
It's not,
which is still not great for, I feel, one of the best superhero movies in my opinion.
To me, that's a mixed review, and fans, critics could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Personally, I loved Man of Steel because it mirrored Superman 2, the old Superman movies.
Right.
So it mirrored Superman 2 with General Zod and things like that. And I watched that movie growing up as a kid.
Right.
So I'm so glad that they went with General Zod in Man of Steel, because to me, like, that was it. General Zod, Lex Luthor, like that, to me, like that was Superman to me, because I grew up watching that movie. So I loved how they did that in Man of Steel.
And then, back to the point, Batman vs. Superman, it was an extension of that, with the vision, with the style, with the characters, and mainly focusing on Superman as the character, the main held of what this vision's going to be for the next, I would imagine, the next 10 years that they thought. Right. And that just botched.
Yeah.
And then you have Suicide Squad come out, which was 40% Rotten Tomatoes. And, I mean, the total gross was, still decent.
Still decent.
$746 million, approximately. That's still a good turnout, but it just, I think the downhill went from there.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, well, I think once Suicide Squad came out and once that big effect happened with critics. Yeah. And even just fans in general, they're like, it was forced to make this switch, this different tone that they wanted to go down, and that was just not what they wanted to do. Right.
Yeah, man, I feel like after Suicide Squad failed and Justice League failed and Batman v Superman failed, they really needed a win, and in comes Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman had a total gross of $821 million with a Rotten Tomato score of 93%. Now, that's a win, especially because
awesome.
That movie not only carried a lot of weight for Warner Brothers and the production team behind the film, carried a lot of weight politically because she is the first female superhero to have her own film on the big screen.
Yeah.
So automatically right there's a lot of weight this movie is carrying, and it pulled off.
Oh yeah, easily. It was expectations, and maybe even beyond. Yeah, I thought it was great.
It was incredible.
To me, it's equivalent to Man of Steel, and Man of Steel did not get the feedback.
No,
that one. I wouldn't say it's the same movie, but it's the same type of gritty, grimy origin story that was needed to be told for this vision that they had.
Yeah, and it was
for these characters.
I loved Wonder Woman. It was great.
Yeah.
But then after Wonder Woman comes Aquaman in 2018.
Yeah.
Aquaman, I loved Aquaman. There were at times the film was a little cheesy, but nonetheless, it was fun. It was a very visually stunning film, I thought. Visually, it was just very pleasing to look at.
Right.
And Jason Momoa is the man.
Yeah.
If anybody knows Jason Momoa, he just drinks beer, throws axes, and he's just a bro.
And it also made over $1 billion. That was the first DC movie that Warner Bros. Produced that made over $1 million or $1 billion.
And the Rotten Tomato score was 65%, but I'm pretty sure that's critic score. The audience score, I'm pretty sure for that movie was very high when the film came out.
Right.
So,
but then all right, so then look at Aquaman and then look at what Man of Steel is.
Right.
How do you contrast those two movies?
I would say Man of Steel is definitely a little bit more gritty, a little bit more dramatic, whereas Aquaman was more fun, vibrant, a little bit more lively. I would say, and because the story of Superman and Aquaman are just way different. It's just way different,
right? Which is fine.
Right.
Which is completely fine. I love how it was two different styles. You're just getting this well-rounded, vibe from everything. You're not getting the same thing. Like it's not the same formula each time. That's the thing I like a lot about these franchises, that you're getting different tastes. There's different taste buds within all these characters,
and that's how it should be. Every character should establish their own brand.
When you try to force it, going back to with Justice League, when you try to force it, like force feed us from the style that they're. It was similar to like what Thor Ragnarok did. With Thor, it's completely redesigning a character.
It was a complete rebrand for Thor,
right? Which
revived
worked.
It revived it pretty much.
Which was good. I liked it. But Yeah, it was just something about Justice League. The studio just kind of panicked, and they're like, we need to make money. I think that was the biggest thing, is that they didn't have the, the attraction.
Right.
That, because they were trying to play catch up to Marvel, and that's will always be my backup. That'll always be my argument. They were trying to play catch up to Marvel.
It's obvious. And
it's just stupid why they tried to, because Marvel was coming down to
the end of their 10-year legacy.
I think it came out the year before Infinity War, so it's like, okay, they're coming down off their peak.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, then that's when you step up. You don't rush in and try to catch up.
The thing about the DCEU, and we've mentioned this before, you have to establish your core characters before you do a team up. That's my opinion.
We have a
whole episode talking about it. So
I don't want to talk about it too much.
We're not going to get too deep into it. But with Zack Snyder's Justice League, I think we both can agree that the benefit is we now get to see what the film would have actually have been if Snyder didn't leave due to unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah.
So that's a huge benefit to fans and people that were ultimately disappointed with how Justice League turned out. Also, you're giving more credit to the people that worked on the film, the actors, the visual effects team, directors, the writers. You're giving them their credit now because they worked hard on a lot of the footage that was not seen in the theatrical release of the movie.
Right.
And it's a shame that all that hard work was gone. It was almost thrown away.
Yeah. I'm curious. I want to see what, how much they went through, how much of the film that they actually constructed, and then when they planned on to completely reflip the style of it. Like, I wonder if it was in the pre-production where this redesigning of the style was in, or if it was like when Schneider kind of just had to lead the project and Joss Whedon came in and he's like, yo, let's revamp it.
If I remember correctly, it was post. It wasn't post, I'm sorry. It was in the middle of production and Joss Whedon called for reshoots. And that's why we have Superman who has his mouth looking a little odd in the film. It's because he was filming for the Mission Impossible movie at the same time.
His contract.
And his contract, he couldn't shave the mustache he had. So they had to digitally remove it, and it looked like shit. It looked awful.
And it sucks because, I wonder if there wasn't so much coverage, like if there wasn't so much attention to it, if it would have played off. But the fact that, the world we're in right now. If that word is going to go out, it's going to spread like fucking wildfire.
Sure.
And all the fans, like us, when we went to go see it, every time Henry Cavill's on the screen, subconsciously you're looking for when they CGI'd that fucking mustache off. And it just throws you off. It completely takes you away from the actual story, which was another element that, kind of just didn't give you the good vibe.
Right. But nonetheless, we're getting our Snyder cut. It's going to be great. What do you think the film's going to entail? I can tell you immediately what I think it's going to be.
I think it seemed like there was a lot more footage with Cyborg, just from the trailers and the stuff that Zack Snyder has released, like just still images.
Right.
I would imagine there's more character development within his character. And I would hope a little bit more with Flash.
There's more. There's a whole scene about his background.
I think those two characters need to stand out in this Snyder cut.
Right.
With Aquaman, my opinion with the theatrical release that they had, Aquaman shouldn't even been in the picture. My opinion. I loved the movie, Aquaman's movie, but there was no reason for him to be in Justice League. I feel, it's just kind of like. Yeah, you're trying to make the Justice League, and Aquaman's in the comics. He's in the Justice League, but at the same time, if you're going to have these heavy characters and these very popular characters that need to be in the film, utilize them.
Right.
There was no use for Aquaman in the actual cut. So I don't know what they're going to do with him, but I'm hoping Cyborg and Flash are more developed and we get to see more of their characters. Because I think those two played those characters perfectly
for
the
the
style
well.
they were going with. I loved it. Especially with the Flash, too, with Ezra Miller's,
portrayal. Yeah, a lot of people compare him to the TV version of Flash, which I've never seen the show. A lot of people recommend it, but I feel like you can't compare the two. You just can't. people have different ways of playing their characters, and some people like the ways other people play it, and it's just all up to what you prefer. But getting back to the film, I agree. I think there's going to be way more character development in terms of story. I don't think the story is going to change much. We saw the brunt of it.
Zack Snyder, I don't know if he's on Twitter or something, but I always see things pop up, official releases that he puts out. And someone asked, like, are we going to get that, that style of Steppenwolf that we're going to have? And he kind of like gave like a little winky face with an emoji. So
yeah,
even that, the whole character might have a redesign of him.
That'd be cool. And
he released something with Darkseid too.
Well, Darkseid's apparently going to be in like a post-credit because the actor who played Darkseid came out and said he filmed lines and I think mocap for the character. But like I was trying to say before, it's going to be a 4-hour cut. So it's either going to be a 4-hour film.
Well, right now they just have where it's a Snyder cut release. They didn't really. I think they're saying around 3 or 4 hours. If it's that, I would imagine they would break it into like, into like parts. Probably like if it's like 4 hours, probably do 4 parts.
For like a miniseries. Okay.
Kind of like on Netflix. Hateful Eight. Right. The extended cut they have,
But still, we're getting double the amount of footage that we were originally supposed to get. We weren't supposed to get it, but we're getting double the amount of footage compared to the theatrical release. So automatically, there's going to be a lot of content that we didn't see, which is cool.
It's reported that it's when Snyder's release was first announced, it was reported it was going to take 20 to 30 million just to redesign everything.
They think it's going to be even more than that.
Yeah, and now they're saying it could be like even 70 to 80. That the president of Warner Bros. Media or something came out and said that. He was like, yeah, it's going to be way more. I mean, because if they're going with Snyder's vision, I would imagine he's just erasing all CGI, all styles, all colors, all that, and just completely redesigning everything. I would imagine.
Right.
Since it has such a heavy impact with his release, I would imagine he would just want to erase everything and start from scratch,
which is fine.
Which they're going to need the money for.
Yeah, and that's fine. I heard there's going to be no reshoots for the film. It's just going to be strictly post-production kind of things. There's going to be no reshoots. But here's a quote from J.K. Simmons, who plays Commissioner Gordon in the film, and he had to say about. This is what he had to say about the Snyder Cut. This is from cinemablend.com. Well, I'm always interested, just as a creative artist, in seeing a director's full vision, and Zack is such a great guy. The circumstances surrounding the post-production on that film was such a tragedy, personally for him. So for so many reasons, I'm really looking forward to seeing his vision come to light, and the fact that the fans have rallied around and made that possible, he appreciates, and I do as well. I think that right there just sums it up. This is a win for the fans. First and foremost.
Which is amazing.
And that extends to Zack Snyder. This is also a win for him because I feel like after BVS, he got a lot of shit because, people were blaming him that, Batman vs. Superman was too dark.
Would piss me off. I did not blame him whatsoever.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
This is all Warner Brothers' fault.
I've always loved his style and his vision with all of his movies. He's considered a visionary director.
Right.
Let him
do his thing.
Yeah, let him present his vision. He stands out. It's distinct from any other comic book movies.
Right.
Let him do his thing, and I'm excited that even someone that has such a big role in a big character like that can actually say something.
And that brings us to this next question. Is this a whole new film? Personally, I'm going to say no, because we know what the story is. It's essentially going to be the same exact story, and it's going to play out the same exact way. We're just going to get more on top of what we already got. And it's just going to be a little bit more smoother in terms of the storytelling, and we're going to learn a little bit more about the characters, and it's just going to feel like a more well-deserved movie,
right?
Than originally.
Because the thing is that I haven't watched it in a while, but it's just too crammed. That's like the best. That and Suicide Squad are a definition of a crammed commercial film. Mm-hmm. Where everything feels rushed. There's no development.
Right.
And you could just you feel it. There's no pace. There's no emotional connection with the story or with the characters.
Right.
And when you don't have that in a story, there's no fucking reason to go and watch a movie or be entertained by a story. Me coming as a storyteller, writing stories, the number one element is making sure the audience is emotionally attached to those characters, or at least understand the philosophy of where they're coming from.
Right.
I had a very mixed feeling about it because the damage is already done, right? The Justice League movie came out in 2017 and botched and completely burned down the direction that studio is trying to go with those main characters.
Yep.
Now it's like this is kind of like a cheap way out of the fire. This is kind of like trying to put out the fire a little bit. So it's like, can you really appreciate it that what it already was? Like how the impact already was. Like, is this just like a sellout in a way? That was one of my worries, that it's like, what's the point of it?
Honestly, man, I think the whole point is to give the film its justice. I think it just wasn't good. It was not a good film, and Justice League is such a well-known group of superheroes, and they did not get the justice that they deserved. Funny, oddly enough, right? Like Justice League did not get justice. No, yeah, that was not planned. But it's so unfortunate. Like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash, like all those characters, like kids are running around with their symbols on their shirts as kids. You know what I mean? They look up to these superheroes, and they go and see this movie, and like, yeah, as a kid, like you wouldn't think twice about it. But as us growing up with these superheroes and seeing this movie, it was like a slap in the face.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just wasn't what we expected. It wasn't what we deserved. And this is, I think, a way of them saying, we're sorry. We're going to give you what you guys have been crying for. And we hope you like it.
Do you have any doubts about it?
Well, it's funny you bring that up. So for me, the doubts and this question about how it steers the direction of the DCEU, that's my doubt. I do not think this is going to steer any direction in the DCEU, because the Batman that's in Justice League, he's gone.
I know.
We have a new Batman. The Superman, we have no fucking idea if he's still going to be in the film or is still going to be in the DCEU. We have no clue. We haven't gotten any word if that's confirmed or if it's not confirmed, whatever the case may be. Do I think it's going to steer the direction for the DCEU? No, because they're already going in a new direction. I think this is just a way of saying sorry for fucking Justice League up. We hope you like what we have in store for you. I think that's what this
apology.
is. That's exactly what it is. It's a fucking apology.
So Joker came out.
Yes.
2019 in the fall.
Right. We've spoken enough about Joker.
We've spoken enough, but that was Warner Bros. Second movie with DC characters that made over $1 billion.
Right.
It's a rated R film. It was nowhere near a comic book movie.
No.
But now they have Robert Pattinson's whole new Batman. It seems like it's a very grounded style. It seems like.
Right.
We haven't seen shit. Like, we haven't seen anything, but just from what we're getting told.
Right.
The success you had with Joker, do you now bring in Robert Pattinson's Batman, try to integrate him
with Joaquin Phoenix's Joker?
With Joaquin's Joker.
That's interesting.
Like, is that a whole new franchise that they're going to try to go down?
Maybe. Because if you know Joaquin Phoenix, he's very picky about his scripts, and I feel like he's not the type of guy that's going to sign a 10-movie deal with Warner Brothers. So I don't know if that's going to work out. It very well may, and we just don't know about it. But
he'll make a shitload of money.
He'll make a shit. Yeah, of course. But will it work, though? Because Joker alone, even if it wasn't a DC movie, it would have been a great movie.
Right.
Which is, it's tough. So, yeah.
Why do you think HBO Max wanted to do this Snyder release for Justice League?
Well, I think I'm going to get a lot of people to pay for their subscription.
Right. I think it's kind of just a whole marketing tool, to be honest.
100%. I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
You kidding me? We're making a whole episode dedicated to the Zack Snyder cut.
Right.
I'm paying to see the Zack Snyder cut.
Right.
I'll pay for 1 month. I don't care, and then I'll terminate it if I'm not happy. But
because I don't think they're really. I mean, HBO makes original content, but for what HBO Max is, like, that's just a great.
Yes, it's a great selling point.
Because you already have the fans were the reason this is even happening. So now you have those millions of fans getting what they want, so they're like, oh shit, now I need to go and subscribe to HBO Max. Like, it's a genius marketing tool.
100%. HBO Max are the right thing picking it up, because a lot of, also too, let's say you're not even a fan, but you saw Justice League, wasn't that good. Now you're getting a revised version of the film.
Right.
Just out of curiosity, you're going to want to see it.
Yeah.
You're going to want to see what they did. Right? Even if it's not good, you're going to want to see how it's different. So you're going to pay and see it. It's a great win for HBO Max, and it's very smart. God, you know, and it's always funny too, because when we would talk about the Zack Snyder cut, we're always saying to ourselves, "What if?" Dom.
Yeah.
This brings us to our very first "What If" segment.
What if?
Dom, what if you had a 10-car garage, and you had to pick 10 cars from all of history? What 10 cars are you putting in your garage?
Well, I made a whole list for you, Joey. Just for you.
I want to hear it.
First, we got Dodge Challenger Hellcat, all blacked out.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we got
Feelings mutual with that.
yes, Chevy Silverado lifted, all geared up. Maybe have a little off-road tires and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
You know,
little mudding.
I have here so it can tow my boat, because I'm gonna have a boat.
Okay.
If I can, well, that's another thing. That's my third thing, is that I want a big ass boat.
Okay.
I have
big ass boat.
Yes, in letters, I have a big ass boat.
Well, if you have a 10-car garage, you'll have a dock. You'll have enough money to have a dock.
Next would be a Ferrari. That'd be probably my only supercar that I would really crave.
Right.
I want that bright yellow, black rims, and just be able to go 180 miles.
Yeah, just rip it. Just rip it down 22.
1970 Camaro.
Oh my God.
Silver with black stripes.
From 21 Jump Street.
Yep. Basically the exact same car.
Gotcha.
Jeep Wrangler for the beach. Because I'm assuming if I have a 10-car garage to afford all this, I'm probably a billionaire.
Yeah.
So I would easily have a big ass house on the beach, and I'll be driving that probably on the beach, or just that would be my beach car. Dodge Durango, bright red, blacked out rims. That's probably my dream car if I were to get something right now, to be honest.
Cool.
2020 Dodge Charger, midnight purple. Did you ever see those little bad boys?
I've seen it in midnight purple. The purple looks good.
Sexy.
Yep.
Because then, like, at night, I mean, they're extremely purple, but at night they just have this different look. It's like this glossy, it pops out more at night.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Gets you laid. C8 Corvette, orange or sky blue. Those are nice. I feel like you need a very neon pop with those type of cars. 1969 Ford Mustang, red with black accessories.
Okay.
You know, with stripes on the side and everything. And then my last would just be Tesla. That'd be a very why not car?
Oh yeah, just like Tesla. Yeah, throw one of those.
Everybody's getting those. Okay, I have to get one. So yeah, that's my 10-car garage.
Not a bad list.
A big ass boat.
Not a bad list.
And a dog.
All right, I'll give you my list. Not necessarily in order, but we both have the same love for the Dodge Challenger Hellcat, all blacked out. I think that's one of the reasons why we became best friends, because we talked about it all the time. But that car, that is my dream car. I want that car right now, and yeah, I would love it. Moving on from that, I'd want to do a Lamborghini Countach, white, 1974, the first production year of that car. Moving on to a Ford Raptor, but I want it in like a sunburst orange.
Interesting.
Because if you ever see it in the orange, it looks sick in orange. It looks really good.
I like it in like a gray, like a dark gray.
Right. Well, with this, I kept like the colors in mind with the car, and I didn't want to get too much of the same color. So like each car is going to have a different color, designated color. But I'd want my Ford Raptor in orange for sure, and I'd use that. That's for utility, off-roading, having fun with it, that kind of thing.
We're billionaires on the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
On our boat with our kids.
Next.
Fiction.
A 1963 Aston Martin DB5, the exact same car James Bond drove in Goldfinger. Sick looking car. I want it. It's historical. It's iconic, and it's just a sick car. It's Aston Martin. Like, that's sick. You know what I mean? You walk in my garage, you see that. It's like, that's James Bond's fucking car.
You know, I kind of change it, and I want to put a Batmobile in one of my cars.
Which one?
It's a good point. I don't know.
Well,
the classic. My dad loves the classic with the Adam West, which I respect. I don't think I would do the Tumbler from the Dark Knight
I wouldn't
trilogy.
do the Tumbler.
The newest with Batman vs Superman.
I like that one a lot,
that
actually.
one was sexy as hell. I'd probably go that one.
All right, cool.
Going that one.
That's good.
Batmobile.
Next, I'm going to do a Ferrari 488 Spider in a gunmetal gray.
Ooh.
Ferrari in a gunmetal looks really nice. You got the gunmetal gray, the black wheels, and then you got the yellow Ferrari logo on the side of the car, and it looks just sick, man. I love the way that looks. First time I ever saw that car, I was in Florida with my family, and I was like, I want that car. I need that car. Moving on, my dad had a car when he was younger, and it was a 1970 Chevy Camaro Z28. This is kind of the same one you were talking about. Only difference is I'd get it in a forest green with the white vinyl top, just like he had it. He talks about that car. I've dreamt about that car. That car is a sick American muscle motor vehicle. It's a sick car. Moving on, an Audi R8, and I want it in like a royal blue. First time I saw the Audi R8 was in 17 again with Zac Efron. Great movie.
A great movie.
I saw that car. I was like, damn, that car's sick.
It's a nice car.
And then you see it again in Iron Man with Tony Stark riding around. He's got it in that orange, which is sick too, but I want it in like a royal blue.
Yeah, that's a nice car.
My next car, an Acura NSX. It's Acura's supercar. First time I saw it was at the New York Auto Show when I was a freshman in college. I went with a few roommates, and I saw the Acura NSX, and I saw it in red, and I'm like, damn, that is a sick looking car. It's very sharp looking, very sporty. And I grew a liking to it, and that's another car I'd probably throw in the garage. And this is another car that I fell in love with while I was at school. I saw it in the streets on the Bronx, ripping down Broadway, a Mercedes AMG GTR Coupe in green. And they call it the Green Machine.
Oh.
And the thing is sick. And then the last car I have on my list is a McLaren P1, and I want that in the classic orange. I love McLarens. I've always loved the way they look. I fell in love with it, I think, when I first got my Xbox One, and I bought Forza for it.
Oh, yeah.
And McLaren was on the front cover, and that was my car of choice. And the more and more I learned about it, I saw it at New York Auto Show and things like that. I love the McLaren P1. I think it's a sick-looking car. And yeah, so... ladies and gentlemen, we would like you to vote on which garage you would take. My garage or Dom's garage?
No, they want the big ass boat.
Do they?
Yeah, they do.
I don't know.
It's, the fishermen out there, they want the big ass boat.
The fishermen.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Joey, is this it?
I think that's it, Dom. I think that was a pretty solid 10th episode. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our 10th episode of the Stunods podcast. We want to thank you, as always, for listening in. And Dom,
as always,
tuning off,
signing off,
stopping off.